Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sails and Trails. My name's Nick. Thanks for joining me on my flipping adventure. We are in Athens and this is part 2 or maybe even 3. I'll see if I do the streets of Athens first. We're going to go around the Agora this time and we thought we'd start off here. So this is actually towards the base. The Acropolis is just over there. The Agora is this way, and then we've got the Hill of the Muses over there, which is probably going to be another episode, maybe tomorrow. Weather depending. It's going to be a light drizzle, so let's have a little walk around. Here's Aaron.
What's happening?
It's Juicy Pixel. I'll put a link in the description of the video for his channel. Check it out. He's got quite a lot of videos going around all of Europe and sort of North Africa, so if you are interested in travel videos, check his channel out. But let's go make our way around the Agora. So as you can see in the distance up over there, that's where we was in the last episode. That is the Acropolis over there. It was meant to have been like a mixed bag when it comes to the weather. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be a light drizzle. It's sunny, you know, it's way better weather than it is in Wales at the moment. Yeah, like I said, we're going to go to the Agora, enjoy the weather now, and hopefully see some really cool stuff. There's cats everywhere. I do love this sort of scenery though, it's beautiful. Every turn, every corner you go around, every street has something of historical context. Like this is the intersection of some old roads, and it's a sanctuary of Pan. Probably wouldn't have come down here when we do the Hill of the Muses, nymphs, and it looks like onyx, but it's not. It starts with a P, ponix or something like that. But
ancient tennis ball.
It's an ancient tennis ball on the floor. Oh, but yeah, we're going to try and get in here. I don't exactly know where the entrance is. It might be down here, but like I said, the Agora tends to be €10 to enter. So I'll see you when we get inside. Just over here, there's rocky outcrops, which you can take some fantastic pictures from. Obviously, we've already seen it from up on the top of the Acropolis. But in here is the Agora, and we're going to make our way into the entrance. Should be just down the road now. So just before entering the Agora, just another look at the Acropolis up there. Can't believe not long, 2 hours ago or so, we were up there. So we are actually in the Ancient Agora now, or Classical Agora as they would call it. This would be a common place for people to gather, assembly, and or like marketplaces. We are gonna go see Hephaestus Temple. Sorry, my pronunciations aren't great, but yeah, hopefully this will be a nice little walk around. It costs €20 to get in, so combined with the Acropolis, that's €50 in total, so works out to about 40, 45 pounds, 40, 45 pounds, which, to be fair, if you're ticking off things off your bucket list, there's nothing wrong with that. But let's have a look at this temple. Isn't it mad how these columns are actually in sections all on the way up? I wonder what what holds it together. I'm not too sure. This is really cool though. So there's lots of like greenery around this area, surrounding the temple. I just can't get over how well preserved it is, and the structural integrity of the structure itself. But yeah, as you can see, the pillars are damaged, but it maintains its shape and it's still standing now to this day. Looks like there's some burn damage in here though, which is strange, unless that's just like a dark algae. But so earlier on in the day, and probably you'll notice in the Athens city walk videos, we went across here. Down in between there was a railway track, which I thought was a bit crazy, but we got all this to look at around here. Okay, there we go. The Temple of Hephaestus. So inside there would have been two sort of statues. What's you got? Athena and Hephaestus. Obviously I don't have a problem correcting me if I'm wrong in any of this, but we're just having a little perusal around. I'm not very factual when it comes to it, but from my gatherings, what I can say is Athens is a very pretty city for the most part. Obviously when you go further on the outskirts it does get a little bit more run down. There are buildings that are slightly in decay or boarded up, but I think you get that in most cities now these days. But up on the top there you can see there's sort of wrestling, there's horse riding, and there's other different sort of bodies and everything like that on there as well. So it's still got some of its original character in this building. But as also you can see, it's not extremely touristy, which is great. And as I said in the previous video in the Acropolis, we come in February, so it's sort of a slower time when it comes to tourism, which is, you know, even better. It allows us to appreciate the sights that we're seeing and not get too far in the hustle and bustle. Yeah, let's continue on the walk. So that was a depiction of what would have been here in the Agora. So you have multiple buildings, temples, shrines. You also got statues here and there. As you can see, it looks like there's a church in the far distance as well. We'll go check that out. But there is a lot here. This would have been the Ancient Agora from about 150 AD. So you see it's quite expansive and there's lots to it. We just went to Hephaestus temple, which is towards the front. We'll get down there and we'll have a little look further into what's there. So scattered throughout this park as such, I would call it maybe, there are multiple different types of stone. There's like little columns and pot-like looking items, which I would probably associate it where it was found. Obviously, like I always say, don't quote me on it. I'm not exactly clued up on all the facts of this place, but it's a very pretty walk, and it's something that we should be enjoyed by a lot of people. Like I said, you've got the Acropolis there, the Agora here. There was the big rock up on the top there which you get extra views from, and it's like a park up there as well, probably with some extra bits of history. But yeah, there's so much to go see here, so much to do. We're here for 4 days. That's probably not enough time, but we're going to enjoy it while we can. So I really enjoy history when it's sort of a bit sort of left for the nature to take over a little bit again. So when you have little strolls like this, you've got like your olive trees and some of the fauna coming back, and they've not overcut it back, so it's like very sterile and kept. But like I said, there's so much here, it's just expansive. So every little section of this Agora has these little plaques. So for example, here we have the House of Simon. Now most people look at this and think it's just a bunch of cut stone, but there's usually a lot of history and there's a story in all these places. And you just think, imagine you were stood here, well, should I say stood here, best part of 2,000 years ago, give or take, how bustling this place would have been. You've got to picture it and feel it, and like the depiction on the previous clip would have given you an idea. Let's have a look at this by here. It says the Tholos or Skia. So this gives a depiction here. So this would have been this building. Circular building. Like I said, you've got the Temple of Hephaestus there. The Ancient Agora would have been here. Like I said, it would have been where they would have done assemblies, some sort of marketplace sort of activity. And as you can see, it's really expansive. They got these really long buildings beside it as well. So we still have this building in the background, Hadrian's Library there. It's the Roman Agora, which we did take a little look at, and then you've got the Acropolis on the top. So we can have a little mingle around here and see what's here. But as you notice, it's got that curvature going around for the foundations. So we're going to continue our walk around the outskirts or the boundaries of the Agora. Like I said, that would have been more of the internal centre part of it. But I do appreciate sort of the Mediterranean. Obviously it's going to be a Mediterranean vibe because it is in Greece, but just the look of even like the fauna around here as well just gives you that little bit of an idea of what it would have looked like back in the day. Obviously if the buildings were still here, it would have been a sight. I was just saying that. As you can see, most of the buildings themselves had columns on the front, and just there were multiple different styles. So you had like I said, the circular building over there, usually very sort of square, and I imagine a lot of it maybe for storage and or housing. But we'll have a little look further on, maybe take a sort of sweep around then up to the building at the top, and hopefully there's going to be more busts like this. So this is a statue of Emperor Hadrian. So like I said, we had the Hadrian's temple over there. I'm assuming that's the Hadrian that has the Hadrian's Wall in Scotland, or the divide between Scotland and England, but I'm not 100% sure, so as I always say, don't quote me. So by here there's not much left of it, as you can see, but it was the Temple of Apollos, Patros, and you had the Temple of Zeus and Athena. So there was a single building by here, like a single column building here with right next to the Apollo Patronus. And then we have here then, basically this is a stoa. So a stoa is like a causeway, a walkway that's been covered over by a roof, I'm fairly certain, but it's a Stoa of Zeus. These are a little bit earlier, as you can see. This is like 430 BC. And as Aaron mentioned, they tried restoring some of this stuff and then just made it worse, to be honest. But as you can see, there's not really a crazy amount left of it. It's still got the foundations. You can still see the rough idea of it. And over here then, as they were very religious when it comes to this and they used to love their gods, you have the altar of Zeus. So, as you say, these are tied into these sort of communal places. They would tie in a lot of their sort of worship to the gods, as they were an integral part of culture and life back in the day. Just over that wall, weirdly enough, it's split over to a little small section in the back, which they're actually doing a little bit of excavation on. But there's a railway track in between, so I'm assuming they just had to destroy a little bit to make room for that. But we'll continue on. It is actually, this is a bit of a reminiscence of home. This is actually a later building, not Greek, but Roman. So this was the 40s or 50s, just after BC, which was AD, I should say. There's always added sort of items here, so this is a bit of an unusual one. So right on the corner here, as I mentioned, that was a train track going across, there is an altar of the 12 gods, so it's just a corner of it. This is a bit of an unusual one, just to see a little bit on the side. It would have been a shame to have not been able to have all of it going across, but I'm assuming it was dug up. Yikes. I hope you're enjoying the video so far, by the way. It's really nice to be able to get around and go around these places, for you guys to experience it, maybe the guys to give you a little bit of influence into coming to see it for yourself. I'd really advise coming to Athens. I could hype it up all I want, but just the history and just the way about life around here just feels quite calm and quite relaxing and enjoyable. So I would say this is actually a very important building, and it's this one right by here. And this is the Temple and Altar of Ares. Now Ares has been mentioned as a god of war, and war was quite consistent when it came to ancient Greece and well, even Roman sort of times. And they used to pray to the gods to be able to come back safely, as well as to be able to fight and win as well. But Ares, the temple here, probably prayed before going to war. Hopefully try to get Ares on their side to be able to prevail and succeed. So just like the Zeus temple, Ares also had an altar. I'm assuming that's also for prayer. And it's right next to the Temple of the Giants, I think this is called. I know it's the gymnasium, and it's the Odeon of Agrippa. Agrippa, obviously, we mentioned up on the Acropolis with that stone column, the statue on the top. Obviously, the statue isn't there, but it's that square marble column just after the west gate. This is actually mentioned down with the altar of 12 down there, this Temple of Giants. So hopefully we'll be able to have a little look inside, or at least around it. It's very expansive. And here is the depiction of the what's it called now? This is the Palace of the Giants. Yeah, so you have these columns here at the front.
You have the statue still here, and considering how old they are and the weather and all that, they still have in very good form.
But you can see inside as well, then they have more busts. Also, statues. Busts is more of a face, more of a head. None of these really have, or that one does that one, but none of these have sort of heads on them. But it's the gymnasium and the Temple of the Giants here. Right, so we've made it to the museum. Let's have a look in here. Statue of Apollo. These tops, these pillars, the columns, so ornate. This is actually painted. You can still see flecks of the paint here. So all over this site you've got loads of different sort of columns, figures, stones. And I imagine it's a nightmare to actually get them all and put them all together. But we'll continue on looking through the statues here. So here, personification of Odyssey, the Iliad. So the Iliad and Odyssey are plays, I'm fairly certain, from ancient times. I can't remember exactly who wrote about them. I'll have to get back to you on that one. In terms of Homer Simpson, dough. It's actually Homer. Should have remembered that. I actually did read a little bit of it in the course in university, but we have a potential statue of Aphrodite. There's loads of stuff here to see. There's busts, there's columns, there's stones, there's little busts like this as well here. Hermes carrying an infant Dionysus. If we carry on through, like I said, there's lots of broken down, partial built, so some of it is a guessing game, but usually there's like parts of the statues which will make it more apparent of who it is. This one here.
Sorry, do you have a license?
So, word of wisdom, don't film in the museum, they don't like it. I got told off, but it's not the first time I've been told off for filming somewhere where I shouldn't, so they don't really say much. They just give you like a little, like, do you have a permit? I was like, no. And she's like, well, you can't film. I was like, that's fair enough. But most of it is very similar. There's parts about the Persian Wars, about Marathon, Thermopylae, and everything else. A little bit about Salamis in there as well. But we're going to work up to the church over there. It's actually closed, but we still go on the outside and then skirt our way around the outskirts there before going back over to the entrance over where the temple is. This entrance is under construction, but that will be another entrance and exit which the system will still have in place. But let's continue on. So as I mentioned, this agora was a mixture of places for like assembly, marketplace, and other buildings, really, other structures. But we do have one here which is the civic offices, so you can imagine there actually being some sort of governmental presence here, using a lot of these cannonades, as I said before, which is like a sort of a structure which basically got a roof on just to protect from elements, maybe during the winter times, or just to use as casual walkways. But we'll make our way up to the church and then, like I said, wrap around and call the video there. Oh, it's been a long day, to be fair. We've had some pretty good mileage walking. I can't wait for a pint and a gyros later. And one of the last stops of our trip around the agora is the church. Let's have a little look at it. It is actually closed off inside, so you can't get in, but there's still nothing wrong with checking out the outside. And then we'll make our way across the top there then. So this is the Church of the Holy Apostles. This is actually made, well, built, I should say, in 1000 AD, so it's far later than a lot of the ruins down over here. Hello, Mr. Kitty Cat. As you can see, it's closed, but it's still in very good condition, really, when you look at it. Like I always say about the ruins, they are, even during all the weathering and all the conditions you have, seasonal changes, it would affect the stone and such, but it's in very good condition overall. But I think there's actually a mint by here, because it looks like these pots here would have been something to store money in. But there's a mint over here, some grave heads there. We're going to pop up on this track now and work our way across. So when you go from the main agora, you sort of work yourself to the outskirts of the site in itself, and there's still some really good things to see. There's lots of foundations, however the roads are a little bit less trodden, so there's a lot more stones and that everywhere, so you've got to be careful there. But like I said at the start of the video, we were up on the top there and there's mosaics and everything like that, and this becomes more of a less sprawled sort of area. So these are like the baths and stuff like that here. I'm assuming that'd probably be another altar. Let's have a look. Well, it didn't give an exact idea of what that is. However, this is called the Street of the Marble Workers, and more so the Roman houses. So this must be later on in the Agora's sort of history. So yeah, there's loads of stuff for Roman, Greek. Like yes, this is here. It's a state prison, and that was built in the mid-5th century. So newer, a lot newer, probably a couple of 100 years newer, and yet in the same position in ruins. However, I think we're going to leave the video there, guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this one. Like I said, I try not to bore you. I don't have many facts when it comes to it. It's actually really more so for viewing and just to see what's about here. As I said before, when you go to the museum here, don't film, they will tell you off. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you can leave a like, a sub, let me know what you thought of the Agora itself and how you find Athens as a whole, and I'll see you in the next video. Click the notification bell or subscribe to keep up with new videos every week. We have more videos just like this one on the Trails and Talking playlist. Link will be in the description below. Or if you're interested in how I fund the channel, check out the sales and flipping videos. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.